Greetings to everyone out there in the NoDQ galaxy. Welcome to a special edition of NoDQ Live here on Saturday night. The CM Punk UFC fight just wrapped up in Chicago. And unfortunately, we did not get the fairy tale ending that at least CM Punk fans were hoping for. For me personally, I was hoping he would pull it off and he would score the victory, but it wasn't to be. The crowd in Chicago was firmly behind CM Punk. They were chanting his name through the entire fight. They were booing Mike Jackson, whatever you want to call him. Cindy says, is it too late to book him for All In? Who knows? I mean, we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. What's next for CM Punk? What's he going to do? The first round of the fight, he looked okay. But then in the second and third round, it was just all downhill for him. Jackson pretty much dominated the second and third rounds and was declared the victor by unanimous decision. CM Punk turned down a post-fight interview. So there was no interview from Punk. He just left the cage. And that's it. Punk, I'm assuming, is done with UFC now. There's not going to be a third fight. He did put up a decent showing, but he got really exposed for not having the experience of other fighters in the UFC. TJS says he got a takedown at least. Yeah, that was the first round. And like I said, in the first round, he looked okay, but it was the second round where things just took a turn for the worst for him. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, if CM Punk threw kicks like that against a legit fighter, his leg would be wrapped around his neck. Yeah, the announcers were really criticizing both guys for lacking experience, and they did note that Jackson appeared to be very comfortable and maybe even cocky in the second and third rounds, knowing that he had control of the fight. Jenna says, I adore Punk and I am proud of him following his dreams, but age and experience are not on his side. Justin says CM Punk was throwing Power Ranger kicks. And Drone Videos brought up a good point here. The UFC is putting Ronda Rousey in their Hall of Fame. There was an announcement for that right after the fight with CM Punk. There was a video package for Rousey, and she's going in, I believe, in July as part of the 2018 class. WWE superstar Ronda Rousey going into the UFC Hall of Fame. Kayfabe Candy Ass says he can still follow his dreams elsewhere, but he will not be making $500,000 to get his ass kicked. Edward001 says, Aaron, even you could take down Punk. I'm not going there. I am not arrogant enough to say that. Punk would kick my ass. I'm almost certain of that. So I appreciate that comment, but I'm not going to say that I could take CM Punk in a fight. Mike Mitchell says, Punk can still be an All In. I don't know if he's going to return to wrestling or not. I don't know if he's going to try to do something in Bellator and continue training and try to do one more fight. But I feel like Mike Jackson was the bottom of the barrel, and I don't really know how CM Punk can rebuild at this point. He's just getting older. He's just going to get older, and yeah, he might gain some experience, but age is going to catch up with him. I think his MMA career is over now. I think that this was it. He went in there, he gave it a great shot, but unfortunately, real life is not like the movies. It's not like Rocky, and he didn't get that happy ending. Ryan says he earned respect. And TJS says, would WWE even take him? That's not even something to discuss because I don't think CM Punk's going back to WWE anytime soon. If he does ever return, which I think he will one day, it'll be years from now. It's not going to be anytime soon. If he does get involved in wrestling again, he'll make an appearance at All In. But even that, I don't know if he's going to do. Ryan says it's over. And the official AC says Chicago got triggered before Money in the Bank even happened. And Joshua says, can you see CM Punk fighting for Bellator? Again, I think if he really pushed for it and trained hard, they might take him for one fight, but I think the odds are really against him, and I think this is probably going to be it for him. Anything's possible, but I feel like this was his last MMA fight. The big dog says Vince McMahon paid Mike Jackson not to finish him, to embarrass him like that after the lawsuit. I wouldn't put it past them. Now that I don't buy into. I think the announcers even made a joke about that, but maybe they didn't. Maybe I just completely misheard them. But yeah, there's no way that had anything to do with Vince or WWE. So yeah, CM Punk. You can pull up the Bart Simpson meme with the birthday cake. At least you tried. And Jenna says, do you think the Amen trial had any bearing on his performance? I think it might have to a degree because it was an interruption. It was disrupting his flow with training and all that. But at the same time, I think the verdict helped in a way because psychologically he was able to put the fight behind him. So I think there were pros and cons to the trial. I still think Punk would have preferred to delay the trial so he could have focused 100% on fighting. But either way, I don't think that would have really made a difference here. TGS says, I'm worried that he's going into depression. And the official AC says, somewhere Chris Amen is smiling right now. Edward001 says, Joe Rogan said CM Punk is not even doing white belt 101 stuff. Ooh, that's brutal. I'm going to take call-ins, guys, here in just a few minutes, so you guys can chat about the UFC fight if you have any thoughts about it, anything you would like to say, any analysis on the fight. For those of you that are diehard UFC fans, this is the first UFC fight I've watched since CM Punk's first fight, so I'm not exactly an expert when it comes to analyzing the UFC fights. At least Punk didn't get destroyed in a minute. I guess that's the one positive of the fight. The official AC says CM Punk with SEEEM for CM. Ryan says, I want some New Japan breakdowns because I could not watch. Yeah, let's talk about New Japan. So I did watch 2 of the matches from the New Japan Dominion pay-per-view event. I did see the main event, the 2 out of 3 falls match between Okada and Omega. I also saw the Jericho versus Naito match. I thought both matches were great. I thought the Jericho match was very good. I think it could have been even better. The main event was practically flawless. I mean, that match was arguably the best match of their series and one of the best wrestling matches of all time. I mean, I think it's definitely deserving of the 6 stars, the 7 stars, whatever. I mean, those 2 guys have to be 2 of the best athletes in the world, and they were able to go out there and showcase it. You know, people argue, is AJ Styles better than Kenny Omega, or is Kenny Omega better than AJ Styles? There was a nod to AJ Styles in the match, by the way. AJ Styles, his Styles Clash was used by Kenny Omega towards the end, which I thought was a nice little touch there. Eddie Smith just left a $50 super chat donation. Holy crap. That might be like the 2nd biggest one in the history of NoDQ Live. Thank you so much, Eddie Smith. Bittersweet night for Punk. Clearly, he has no business to be anywhere near a professional MMA ring. That being said, I'm glad he got to achieve his goal and fight in Chicago. Not many people on this earth have the balls to do what he did tonight. And that's the thing. CM Punk went out there and he gave it his best effort. He did not give up. He did not quit. And I applaud him for that. You know, he's living his dream. Win or lose, he went out there and he got to fight in his hometown on a UFC pay-per-view. Not many people can do that. And he did get a nice payday. But to him, that's not what it's about. It's going out there and being able to fight and giving it his best effort. WrestleCore says, I did a podcast with you one time and it was fun. Talking with you was great. Well, thank you for that, WrestleCore. I do appreciate that. Oh, wow. Okay, we might have the savage line of the night tonight from Edward001. A no DQ beach ball could beat CM Punk. Ouch. That is brutal. But anyways, back to New Japan. Jericho and Naito, it was a fun brawl. You had Jericho jump him right before the match even began, and Jericho put him through a table, and then he DDT'd him on a table, and then they got back in the ring. And what's funny is it's different from WWE. In WWE, the referee would check on the guy who got beat up to see if he wants to start the match. The referee, I think his name is Red Shoes, he said, you know what? Let's just start the match. So he didn't even bother to ask Naito if he wanted to start the match. So I guess it's different in the land of Japan when it comes to starting the matches when guys get jumped before the bell rings. I noticed a few sloppy moments in the match, but overall I thought it was really good. Naito made a comeback after about 7-8 minutes. He ended up power driving Jericho on the same table that he got DDT'd on earlier. But in the end, Jericho, using heel tactics, he had the referee distracted. I think he shoved him, and then he hit a low blow on Naito and then hit the code breaker to win the New Japan Pro Wrestling Intercontinental title. I know some people out there are counting it as like a 10th Intercontinental title reign, even though it's the New Japan version. I'm wondering what Jeff Meacham thinks about that, if that counts or that doesn't count because they're two separate promotions. But yeah, Chris Jericho is now the New Japan Pro Wrestling, the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. And we had another title change. I did not see the match yet, but the Young Bucks won the IWGP Tag Team titles. So there's a win for them in New Japan. And then the main event, like I said, one of the best matches I've ever seen. And I think it's definitely the best hour-long match I've ever seen. The difference between these guys and Steamboat and Flair is that these guys work at such a faster pace, and they're able to keep people invested for the full hour. With all due respect to Flair and Steamboat, I love those guys, but you know, those matches were much slower paced, and for me, kind of boring a little bit. But these guys, they managed to keep it entertaining, and yeah, I think it went something like 65 minutes. I believe the first fall ended just on mark. Okada got the first fall, which I thought was a good decision there. So Omega would have to come back and win 2 in a row. The odds being against him and the pressures on him. So good storytelling here. And Omega got the second one, and then eventually he got the third one. Amazing match. I mean, really, from an athletics standpoint, I mean, these guys just are unbelievable how good they are. And we don't know, guys like Seth Rollins and AJ Styles, could they have a match of this caliber? I think they could, but they just don't get the opportunities to do it. I think Seth Rollins could. I think AJ Styles could. I think Daniel Bryan could, if they were able to go out there and be given that opportunity. I don't know if WWE will ever allow it to happen. I don't know if WWE will ever let them go out there and do a 60-minute match and just let them go all out and have the absolute best match possible. But with these guys, we got to see them at their best, and they're two of the best athletes in the world. So I have nothing but positive things to say about them. I think Kenny Omega will end up in WWE one day, despite people saying no, they'll ruin him and that sort of thing. Here's what I think, and I'm a little surprised because on NoDQ.com I did a poll about Kenny Omega. I asked you guys, when will Kenny Omega sign with WWE? And like half of you put never. I believe he will be there. Think about it. Just about anybody who's anybody in wrestling eventually ends up in WWE. Even Sting ended up in WWE. So for those of you saying he's never going to be there, come on now. Let's be realistic here. I think it's going to be a few more years, though. I think it might be a similar situation to Nakamura. You know, Nakamura is pushing 40 now. AJ Styles is pushing 40. Both of them, they're slowing down a little bit, and they decided to go to WWE once they felt maybe their bodies were slowing down a bit. Although I still think AJ Styles can have the type of match that Omega and Okada had. I still think he's capable of it. But AJ Styles and Nakamura came to WWE in their late 30s. Kenny Omega, I believe, is 34. So I think he's going to stick around in New Japan for a couple more years. As long as he can do these types of matches, I think he's going to stay there. And then once he starts to feel he's breaking down a little bit, he needs to slow it down a little bit, that's when I think he's going to sign with WWE. So my prediction right now, Kenny Omega in WWE 2021 or 2022. That's my official prediction right now. That's when I think he'll end up in WWE. When he's around 37 or 38, he'll sign a WWE deal. And of course, like I've said before, I do think the Bucks will end up in WWE eventually as well. But it's all about timing. It's all about when these guys can come in and not get lost in the shuffle and be a top guy, like an AJ Styles or Seth Rollins. What they don't want to do is come in and be a Bobby Roode. That would not be good for those guys, or be somebody like a Mike Bennett, for crying out loud. That would be a disaster. But I don't think that would happen with Omega. I don't think the Young Bucks would get lost in the shuffle either. I think that they would be elevated. But it's just a matter of them coming in at the right time. All right, so what I'm going to do now is open up the Skype phone lines. It's NoDQ, RIFT, NoDQ Rift at gmail.com on Skype. You can call me. I will try to take as many calls as possible. There's a guy on Twitter that was being a little confrontational with me, saying, if you don't like WWE, stop watching it. And if you hate your job, go do something else. I had to explain to this guy that it's in my best interest for WWE to succeed. I don't put down WWE just for the sake of complaining. I try to be as fair and balanced with my opinions as possible. And the better wrestling succeeds, the more popular it is, the more money I make, because I get more traffic when wrestling is more popular. More people are interested in wrestling, more people are checking out websites, and I make more money that way. So it's in my best interest for WWE to succeed. If I was going to do anything, I would overly praise WWE and try to manipulate people and tell them, oh, WWE's awesome. You got to check it out every single week. You got to stay tuned for everything. It's can't miss. That whole sort of thing. That's what I would be doing. I wouldn't be talking trash about it and telling people maybe you should take a break from wrestling. That's the last thing I would be saying, because I'm losing viewers that way potentially. So yeah, that's my take on it. I hope this guy calls in. If you go on twitter.com/AaronRift, you can see his tweets. Tweet him. Tell him to call in tonight. NoDQRift at gmail.com on Skype. I will answer his call if he calls me, and he can say whatever he wants. But anyways, the Skype line is open if anybody would like to call in, give their thoughts on the CM Punk fight or New Japan's Dominion show. People are wondering, like, what's going on here with all the Westerners winning the New Japan titles. And I think the idea is that New Japan is doing this show next month in San Francisco at the Cow Palace. Ticket sales are stalling. They sold about 4,000 tickets, and then that was about it. There were no more ticket sales after that. So I don't think it's a coincidence that you have Westerners as champion right now. You have Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Chris Jericho, all with championships. All right, we have a caller right now, Sajil. Not sure how to pronounce his name. Let's answer this call. Hello. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. How do I pronounce your name?
No, my name is S. Murtaish. I've also tweeted you several times.
Well, how's it going, man?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing very well. So, what would you like to talk about? What's on your mind?
I want to ask about your thoughts on tonight's fight of CM Punk. Do you think he'll return at? Also, he broke Brock Lesnar's record tonight.
He broke his record?
I mean, Brock Lesnar broke his record, or he tied of his championship ring.
Oh, the Universal title reign broke the CM Punk 434-day reign. Is this true, Interstate Kyle in the chat room? Let me know. Somebody who knows the trivia.
Yes, I saw that in comments as well.
That's funny. That's funny if today was the day that Brock Lesnar broke it. Although people are
So
like,
he lost two things.
what was that?
He lost two things today. One his fight and one his record.
Yeah. So any other comments you have?
No, thank you very much for taking me on Skype. It
Not
was
a,
really a dream come true for me to talk to you.
oh, absolutely. Anything you would like to plug?
No, I was just wanted to thank you to accept my call.
Not a problem at all. How did you enjoy the fight, by the way?
Actually, this was the first time I watched UFC, and it was the first time in 4 years I watched CM Punk live. So it was really cool.
Do you have any intentions of watching UFC again? Did this make you a fan at all?
No, not that really much, because it looked like just not good.
All right. Well, thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right. You have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you. So I know any day now, somebody in the chat room can tell me or not. I know Brock Lesnar is on the verge of it. I knew he was going to break it before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, which is why I thought maybe Brock would defend at Money in the Bank, but whatever. All right, we have Charlie calling in. All right, Charlie, are you there?
Yeah, how you doing that?
I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm fine. Thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. So what's on your mind?
Yeah, so today was the UFC fight, and something I've noticed, I mean, I've noticed it for a long time, but it seems like in terms of like influence on culture, like MMA is way more popular than professional wrestling.
Right.
Like since for many years. So what I'm wondering is like, what do you think it will take for wrestling to become relevant like it was in the 90s again?
Well, that's a tough question to answer. I think with UFC, it definitely appeals to people in their early 20s. When I've gone to UFC events, I see mostly people in their early 20s, college students. I feel like UFC appeals to that type of crowd. With WWE, I feel like they really have lost that fan base, you know? I feel like most people that are into WWE right now, they're either people in their 40s and 50s or they're younger, they're teenagers, they're new fans. But I feel like WWE's current product has turned off a lot of the people that are in their 20s and people in their early 30s as well. So how can WWE turn that around? I think we all know the answer to that. I think maybe an edgier product would help, but I don't think WWE is going to go that far, and maybe an edgier character or characters. You know, when you have your big badass baby face like Braun Strowman teaming up with a 10-year-old kid, I'm not sure that that's exactly going to appeal to a 23-year-old college student. Just my take on it, but that's how I see it, at least.
It's actually very interesting that you say that, because usually whenever WWE does something that's like outside their comfort zone, like that's kind of like not PG and, you know, might offend people. Like, for example, that like months ago on SmackDown, when the Jinder Mahal Nakamura feud was going on, like people were going nuts when Jinder Mahal, you know, did that joke on Nakamura.
Right.
So like, and there are countless other times when WWE tries to like go, like Jack Swagger's another great example, his gimmick. So like, I think it's interesting that you say like edgier product, but you, in this PC culture that we have right now, I feel like that's easier said than done, because,
right,
you know, WWE has to worry about advertisers. They have to worry about, having people offended. Like, I love how people say they want the Attitude Era to come back, but a lot of these same people, you know, they get offended pretty easily these days. So I don't know if that's really the answer. What do you think it is about UFC that draws in the 20-year-olds that WWE does not? Is it because it's more violent, it's more bloody? Is it like that, or something else?
Oh, absolutely. I think with UFC, it's just guys going to the event, drinking a lot of beer, getting drunk, and just watching violence, watching guys beat the crap out of each other, and that's why people go. I mean, when I went to the show in 2016, the first CM Punk fight, like these guys were just getting hammered, and they were just enjoying the carnage in the cage. So yeah, I think that's what it comes down to. It definitely is a major factor, I think, with UFC being able to just have this violence, because it is a sport, and I do respect it as a sport, but at the same time, it is real life violence, guys getting beat up for real, and you know that's appealing to people. That goes back centuries, you know, going back to the gladiators and all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you.
All right, so any other comments you have? Did you watch any of the New Japan stuff?
No, I'm not really a big fan of their product. A lot of people are overhyping it about how, oh, New Japan is such a great thing. It's not my kind of thing. Besides the fact that, you know, you have to be up at 2 a.m. to watch it, but that's a given. But even like the shows they have in America, I'm just not interested in the way they present their product, because I guess it's just too foreign to me.
Yeah, I can understand that. I kind of feel the same way watching it. But I do think you should at least check out Jericho's match. And if you enjoy that match, maybe check out the Omega Okada match. I do think that those matches are worth checking out.
Yeah, I mean, I did see Kenny Omega and Okada, and I kind of think Meltzer was kind of blowing it way out of proportion. Like, oh, 6 stars, 6.25 stars. No.
You have to keep in mind
that I've seen better matches.
Meltzer is a very old school guy, you know. He's been around for a very long time, and he likes the more realistic style of wrestling that represents a sport better, that comes off as a sport more. You know, WWE's more about the entertainment and the characters. New Japan's more about just presenting it as a legitimate sport, even though it is all a work. It's the presentation. I think Meltzer likes the more realistic presentation that New Japan has.
I mean, that's great, but like, and people are leaving comments saying this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, but there's a reason why WWE is all the way at the top and New Japan is at their level, and they're not really getting anywhere. They have the star power, but it's just, I don't think it has any mainstream appeal to it. People can get as angry as they want, but the numbers don't lie, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely tough for them to break into the United States. They did draw very well for the last show they did in Long Beach, California, a couple months ago. But yeah, this Cow Palace show is struggling, and the fact that they need the American wrestlers, Jericho, Omega, and Rey Mysterio, to try and boost the numbers up. Yeah, I think that's a sign that the United States audience just isn't, on a mainstream level, just isn't ready for it. And I don't know if that will change at some point. If the positive buzz continues for New Japan, then things could certainly change over time. But right now, it feels like they're going to need those American, and actually Kenny Omega's Canadian, so is Jericho. But you know what I mean, North American wrestlers, the Westerners, that they're going to need those guys to sell the tickets to the show. But either way, I am looking forward to it, and I'm curious to see how this show at the Cow Palace turns out. But anyways, anything you would like to plug or promote?
Not really. Thanks for taking the call. I did a podcast with you last summer. I think it was like, what was it? The most disappointing matches in wrestling history.
Yeah,
I was on there, and it was pretty fun. So
yeah, it was. I'd love to have you back on at some point.
Talking to you like always.
Absolutely. Feel free to call in anytime I do the call-in shows.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right. Have a great night.
You too.
All right. Take it easy. All right. So that was Charlie calling in. He was pretty critical of New Japan, and I understand where he's coming from. I do feel like as an American viewer, it's hard to really get into that style the New Japan Presents. They do have the American commentary, which does help to a degree, but I still feel like I really don't understand the characters that well. Holy crap! Wow, Eddie Smith, you are the man. Eddie Smith just left a $101 super chat donation saying, if I remember correctly, I think you said the super chat donation record was $100. I'll gladly take that record. By the way, if you ever make the trip over to the Philly area, I'd love to sit down and shoot the shit with you. Cheers, brother. Best wishes. Well, thank you for that, Eddie. And you know what, Eddie? I would like you to get some NoDQ merch. So email me, nodqmisc@gmail.com, and I will send you some stuff. Some NoDQ items for your very generous super chat donations. I really do appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. All right, so the lines are open if anybody else wants to call in and talk about the CM Punk fight, anything you have to say about it, any observations, and then, of course, New Japan. Who has a different opinion from Charlie? Who thinks New Japan is on the rise and could potentially compete with WWE someday in the United States? Is it even possible? Call in. Let me know what you think if you have a strong opinion. That guy from Twitter who has an issue with me criticizing WWE, call in. I'm definitely eager to speak to that guy for sure. And just in general, talk to you guys about various topics. You can also talk about something else, but we're coming off the UFC fight and the New Japan Pro Wrestling show. All right, can we put Harry Flynn in timeout because he's just spamming the chat room at this point about pulling all of his teeth? Fox says open call challenge Aaron Riff style. Yeah, this is an open challenge to anybody out there that thinks I'm an asshole and you don't like the way I do things. The lines are open. I will not hang up on you. Call in, say what you want to say. We can have a debate. I'm all for it. So this is the opportunity for people that have a problem with me. If they want to call in, I will chat with them. Kevin says, do you see a possible New Japan versus WWE event maybe at Mania one year? No, I don't see that happening for the same reason I don't really see an NXT versus Ring of Honor event happening, because WWE wants control and WWE is not going to let a rival promotion have those guys go over the WWE talent. Look at WCW. And Vince was controlling everything. And he still would not have the WCW guys go over the WWE guys. Dustin says WWE has no epic matches anymore. That's a great point. And like I said, it would be nice to see that type of match that Kenny Omega and Okada had in WWE with somebody like AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan, because I feel there are guys in WWE that could pull off that type of match. They have the athletic ability to pull it off. But unfortunately, WWE limits what these guys can do, and nobody can really go out there and just have an epic match that is going to be talked about for years to come. And Omega and Okada, with this feud they've had, I mean, it's definitely something that people will be talking about for years now. I mean, they have really left a mark in New Japan, and I feel like it's pretty much a guarantee that when Omega's contract is up, WWE is going to be knocking on his door, and with that Fox money, that's going to be some significant money, and I think Omega will probably stay with New Japan if I had to make a prediction, but I think eventually he will end up in WWE. John says if Omega comes to WWE, they are going to ruin him. Finn says, who won? Did CM Punk win? He did not. CM Punk did not win. There's been rumors about Punk and All In. I know Punk said no to All In, but I sense he's going to be on that show in some capacity. Maybe after losing this fight, he might not, but I feel like he'll at least show up and just say something for the fans. Maybe not, but I feel like there's a decent chance. just to help his friends out, because him showing up, will get people talking, will generate some buzz for All In, and if they're going to do an All In 2, you could always set up something with CM Punk at that first All In event. CM Punk could possibly come out and they could announce him for the referee at the next All In event or something like that. Or even if Punk is up to it, do a match where at the first All In, Punk can be set up for a second appearance where he actually has a match. All right, we got Interstate Kyle calling in. He tried to call in. I don't know what happened. Let me try again here. All right, guys, can we ban Richard to the moderators in the chat? Let's ban Richard. All right, so I would like to thank everyone for tuning in live. We have 220 live viewers right now, so this is actually on par with some of the recent SmackDown videos. Good turnout tonight. I am still taking Skype calls, John, so call me. The line is open. Kyle said he tried to call in, but it did not work, so, oh well. No, Kyle, I guess. We tried. For some reason, it's not going through. I don't think it's my phone lines. TGS says, can you... Oh, wait a minute. Kyle.
Hello.
Hey, real quick before you start, Oscar and Mike are trying to call in. Guys, when I'm done with Kyle here, I'll get you guys on as well. Of course, once the call finally goes through with you, Kyle, I have all these other guys calling in. But I am going to try to get to them here in a few minutes. So, what's up? What's on your mind, Kyle?
I'm honestly not surprised that CM Punk lost his fight, and he did lose two things today. He even lost his world title record in WWE by Brock Lesnar. So that is correct.
So that is correct then?
Yes, it is. Unfortunately.
Did it tie today, or did it get broken today?
From what I checked, it actually tied. So tomorrow he'll actually break the record.
Okay. If people even really care about that, which I think is a bit silly because they're two different championships, but they are world titles, so whatever.
I know, and AJ Styles is actually kind of having a long reign for himself right now. He's been holding it for over 200 days, so that's not something to snooze at either. So we'll see how long he holds the title, though.
Yeah, so you expected CM Punk to lose the fight. Do you think he'll show up at All In?
Yes, I do. I think he'll show up because, I mean, what has he got going for him besides wrestling at this point? I mean, how much can you keep trying to fight in the UFC and losing before people stop caring about you? And a lot of people in wrestling still care about him. He'd be stupid not to come back to wrestling.
It just depends on him if he really wants to go back. He's very down on wrestling after everything that went down in WWE, and yeah, I think he could show up to help his friends with the All In event, but I don't know if he really wants to dip into that. I mean, I think it's all very much a question mark at this point. I still think there's a possibility we will see him at All In. Tony left a $2 super chat donation. WWE.com says today is 433 days as champion for Lesnar. So that would mean tomorrow would tie the record.
Well, I did it. Me being the wrestling geek that I am, I actually did a date difference calculator, and it says from the time he won it, WrestleMania 33 to today is 434 days. So
okay, whatever. He's gonna break it. I mean, he's not dropping the title on Raw.
I know, unless he gets suspended or just vacates the title, but that's never gonna happen.
Even if something came out tomorrow, I think they would keep him as champion for one more day.
I know, and I'm just tired of Brock Lesnar as champion. I mean, Raw, like, I think someone said, I can't remember who, like, someone said that, like, Raw would be a lot more interesting if the Universal title was there every week, and I agree with that. And I just wish they'd get the title off of him. He's broken the record, whatever. Like, can we get, like, Seth Rollins as the Universal champion or something? Jeez.
Yeah, I agree on that. So, anything you would like to plug or promote? I'm sure you do.
Oh, yeah. You guys can follow me on Twitter at Interstate Kyle. Subscribe to me on YouTube at Interstate Kyle. You guys can pledge money to my Patreon at patreon.com/Interstate Kyle and unlock exclusive giveaways, live streams, and early releases. So that's always a plus.
All right. Sounds good. Check out NoDQ.com/Kyle, of course. And thank you very much for calling in, Kyle.
Yep. Have a good night, Aaron.
All right. You too.
Bye.
All right, so the line is now open for the other people that wanted to call in. Okay, we have Mike calling in. Let's get Mike on. Hello, Mike. Are you there?
Yes. What's up, Aaron? How you been?
Doing good. How are you?
Good, good, good. I just have I'm actually calling in from New York State, Westchester.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
So what's on your mind?
My mind is also for Punk. You know, for CM Punk. He's like one of the greatest wrestlers as an all time. But I'm not sure if he's gonna come back to WWE. But if he is, there is gonna be lots of fans that are gonna talk about him. Lots of merchandise, and time will tell.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, but I think we're all hopeful he'll do something and come back in some capacity just because the fans have been supporting him, and even at this show, the fans were heavily behind him. So the people, they admire his willingness to go out there and just do what he wants to do, even if people tell him it's a bad idea, don't do it. He still goes out there and does it, and people respect him for that.
Yes, absolutely.
Anything else? Did you wanna say anything about New Japan, or have you not checked it out?
Yeah, yes, I actually did. I actually saw clips of it. I saw Y2J, Chris Jericho. He did a great job. I think he's like the champ now, right? Isn't he?
Yeah, he's the New Japan Pro Wrestling, the IWGP Intercontinental Champion now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and also Rey Mysterio Jr. He was part of the New Japan, right?
Yeah, he was in a losing effort. It was a 6-man match, but he came up just a bit short. However, I do think we'll be seeing more of him in New Japan, and obviously Jericho has a title now, so he'll be doing more stuff with them as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Of course, I can see Rey Mysterio and Chris Jericho have a little feud with New Japan. So hopefully it will work out.
Yeah, maybe they'll even do a tag team match at some point. Who knows? But anyways, thank you so much for calling in. Anything you would like to plug or promote?
I always love your stuff. I always watch your very first video on NoDQ. It's the best. So keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your viewership. You have a great night.
No problem. You too. Bye.
All right, take care. All right, guys, let's put Harry Flynn in timeout. Now, who else wants to call in? I know the POC show wants to call in. He says, how do I call in? It's nodqrift@gmail.com on Skype. So just look me up on Skype, and you can just send me a call. I should be able to answer it. I had somebody else here a few minutes ago that was trying to call in. Might have been Oscar, but Oscar appears to be offline now. If Oscar, you want to try to call in again, I'm definitely happy to have you on. Okay, here he comes. All right, we got Oscar calling in now. All right, Oscar, are you there?
Yo, what's going on, Aaron? How goes everything, bro?
I'm doing great. So, did you watch the fight tonight? Any thoughts on CM Punk's unfortunate defeat?
Well, I don't want to say we all saw it coming, but I think we all saw it coming. But, I mean, I agree with what you've been saying, what everyone else has been saying. He did what he wanted to do. He tried it, and I don't think he's going to look back and be like, brr, but he did what he wanted to do. He's living his life his way. On that note, I wanted to ask you, had it not been for the trial and then Punk, let's just say the events would happen as in him fighting and losing, do you feel that it'll be years till we see Punk again in WWE? But do you think if it wasn't for the trial, we would probably see him maybe like a little bit sooner than what you predicted? Even though I agree with you.
If there was never...
Did the trial affect his return, if he does return?
I think if there was never a lawsuit, then I think the odds would have been better. Obviously, the lawsuit is going to create some more hard feelings between WWE and Punk. And if Punk lost the lawsuit, then yeah, I think that would have made things even worse. The fact that he won, at least he knows that they tried to bring him down and they did not succeed. And I feel like that will put WWE in more of a situation where they're going to want to bring back Punk, because they want the last laugh somehow. You know, they want him working for the company again. So I think I bring him back at some point. I don't know when,
True.
but I think it will happen eventually. I just think for the time being, Punk's going to do whatever he wants to do, and nobody really knows except for him what his future is at this point.
Yeah, on the note on the trial, do you think quite possibly? I mean, yay! I was hoping Punk would win, and I'm glad he did. But do you think that has opened up like a Pandora's box, so to speak, where other wrestlers would be like, "Hey, I've had a rough experience with not just this doctor, but just in general with doctors in WWE," and you think this has opened a Pandora's box for WWE in the near future? Maybe not like tomorrow, but like a year or two from now.
It could potentially, but I think at the same time, most of the guys in WWE are happy to be there. Punk was a guy who was very outspoken and was kind of always on the outside a little bit, not really somebody who flowed with the corporate direction that everyone was going in. Punk was kind of off to the side doing his own thing. And I think most of the guys, even if they are unhappy or there's something going on with their health, with the money they're making, they might just continue to go with that flow and just continue doing what they're doing and not go down that same route as Punk. Punk did the UFC stuff, but nobody else, I think, can really do that again unless there's somebody at the level of Brock Lesnar with that kind of experience. And there's not that many guys. I mean, who else could potentially do what Lesnar did and attempt to do? Now that Punk tried it and it didn't work out for him, there's really no other guy in WWE that could do that. And, there is Hollywood, there is doing music, Jericho has his band, The Rock, John Cena, they went on and did movies. But other than that, for most of these guys, there's not a lot of other options besides WWE or going to New Japan or working the indies. So I don't think we'll see something like that again, but it could potentially create some trust issues between WWE talent and the doctors. I think that's certainly a possibility.
Yeah, I agree. On a completely different subject, I'm really getting into something to wrestle with Bruce Pritchard. And on that note, I love shoot interviews. And who do you, when it comes to shoot interviews with various wrestlers from any era, who are some of the wrestlers that you personally like? When you hear a shoot interview, you're like, yeah, I believe him. And who are some that you go, For example, I've been a Bret Hart fan my entire life, and anytime Bret speaks, I tend to believe him. And Hogan is probably one where I go, the whole Metallica thing.
Yeah.
So who are you like, yeah, I believe this guy, and who are yours like, guys?
Well, first of all, Brandon is calling in. I'll answer his call next. So Brandon, just give us a minute here. Well, first of all, this is biased on my part, but I gotta say RVD with his shoot interviews, just because has nothing to do with the fact that he was on our channel like 4 or 5 times, but he actually just is a very open guy. He will say what's on his mind. He doesn't hold anything back. And a lot of wrestlers we tried to interview over the years, they would either hold back or they would say they would only do the interview if it's completely worked and they don't talk about anything behind the scenes. I mean, I think Daniel Bryan was actually like that. We tried to interview Bryan Danielson over a decade ago, and he said he would only do a kayfabe interview. So yeah, there you go. But yeah, as far as guys that are open and honest, RVD's one of those guys. He just doesn't give a damn. He will go out there, and there was actually a media ban. So websites like NoDQ.com and basically the wrestling media were banned from doing interviews with WWE talent. But RVD was like, I don't give a damn, and he just went and did it anyways. So that's the kind of guy he is. Other than RVD, I do like Bret, even though Bret can come off as bitter at times. I do feel he's honest, though, and he's really at least saying things that he believes to be true. And of course, CM Punk, that podcast with Colt Cabana. Punk's definitely one of those guys that will say what's on his mind and not hold anything back. I haven't really heard a lot of other shoot interviews, but I would say Hogan's definitely up there in terms of being too over the top and just saying stuff like how he body slammed the 700 pound Andre the Giant and that sort of thing. Graves is going off about CM Punk on Twitter. I'll have to check that out. Anyways, any other comments you have?
No, that's it. Just again, thanks for answering my Skype call. And 1,000 apologies for this dude on Twitter. I'm about to go right now and read what the hell he was up. I mean, we all know how you roll. You're very opinionated, which I think we all appreciate.
Yeah.
But for you to wish doom on WWE, I don't believe that at all. So sorry about that. Part of my Swahili. Sorry for that dick. Hope your video doesn't get flagged now, but I'm sorry for that guy saying that stuff.
It's no problem. But if you see him on Twitter, tell him to call in. You know, I'll be on here for another 15, 20 minutes. I want him to call in. He said he would call in.
Oh,
so I'm anxiously awaiting his call. Maybe this Michael guy was him. Maybe not. But we'll see. All right. Well, I'll let you go. Thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, Aaron. Have a good night.
All right. You too, man.
Take care.
All right. You too. All right. So Brandon, if you want to call in, Brandon. I know you tried a moment ago. I will be happy to talk to you. And I think there was another person who was trying to call in. Maybe it was that guy from Twitter. All right, Brandon Downey is calling. All right, let's see what Brandon has to say. Brandon, are you there?
Yep.
How's it going, man?
That's pretty good.
Pretty good?
Yep.
So what's on your mind?
First off, I love your channel.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So New Japan's Dominion just happened hours ago.
Yeah.
And, you know, the one thing that surprised me as a wrestling fan was Chris Jericho winning the IWGP Intercontinental Championship.
Right.
Because of the fact that he's a part of WWE. He's
actually
still signed to them.
Let me correct you. He's actually not under contract to them right now.
Oh, he's not?
No, he just the Royal Rumble and the Greatest Royal Rumble were one-off appearances. He's not actually his contract expired whenever he was on SmackDown last. That was June, July, somewhere around there. So he's not actually under contract right now.
Because I constantly hear from people that are other wrestling fans just like Chris Jericho is it all employed by WWE to get New Japan guys to WWE.
I don't know if that's the case or not, but I'm sure Jericho will recommend people like Kenny Omega to Vince and whoever else is in charge, Triple H. I'm sure Jericho will do that, but I'm sure Triple H knows who Kenny Omega is and knows who the Young Bucks are, and like I said before, I think there's a realistic chance those guys will end up in WWE at some point. I was just surprised when I did the poll that so many people think Kenny Omega will never show up in WWE. I mean, even Sting did.
Yeah, that I wouldn't deny the fact that I would think Kenny Omega would not be in WWE because he is such a different butting head of the head with Vince. But I could see him there, so this way he can try to make wrestling better than it is now, because the last few years it's just been part-timers taking the spots of hard workers.
Yeah, exactly. And the roster's just so crowded right now. Like I said, I think 2021 or 22, I think that's when we'll see Kenny Omega in WWE. He can still perform at a very high level in New Japan, so I think he'll be doing that for the time being, and then once he gets closer to 40, he'll take that WWE deal where he'll be more of a personality rather than being a guy who does these hour-long epic matches.
Yeah, and but for the changing topics with the Brock Lesnar deal,
sure.
At the start of it, my brothers would always say, I would be the one person against it. My brothers would always say, oh, but it would be a good thing. Like, it makes the title prestigious. Like people are gonna want to actually fight to face Lesnar.
Right.
Now it's just like a phantom title.
Huh. Yeah, pretty much.
Hell, I even enjoyed Goldberg's run with the title more than I have with Lesnar's.
Yeah, it has gotten really old, and I've said this before. I would like to just see Lesnar lose the title, have Paul Heyman turn against Lesnar because Lesnar is getting too old. He's washed up. You know, Paul Heyman's a little slime ball, so he's always going to look for the next
Yeah.
guy to jump towards. You know, his loyalty is only going to go so far. If he feels he can make money with somebody else, he's going to jump ship. And you got a storyline there that's fresh for Brock Lesnar. Put in Brock Lesnar with Paul Heyman's new client, whether it's Bobby Lashley or Braun Strowman or anybody. Just something to change things up. You know, this whole deal of Lesnar being the part-time champion.
Yeah.
It's old. Anyways, Brandon, I think we're losing you here. Anything you would like to plug or promote?
Yes, my YouTube channel, the POC Show.
The POC show.
Guys, if you guys like wrestling, music, anything, because we're just a bunch of guys that will talk about anything that act like idiots and just enjoy talking to fans.
All right, right on. So check that out. And thank you very much for calling in, Brandon. Have a great night.
You too. Thanks for accepting my call.
No problem. Take care.
You too.
All right, bye. All right, so that was Brandon. Versus says pretty good and says her dog Judy was decapitated. That was a great episode. Was that the episode where Larry had the water bottle in his pants and he was in the bathroom and the girl walked in and touched him there and then ran out screaming? That was a fantastic episode. That's one of my favorite episodes of Curb ever. That one was great. The Crazy Eye Killer one was great, but anyways, that's all off topic here. So I'll take one or two more calls here if anybody else would like to call in. Where is that guy? He said he was going to call me and speak his mind, tell me why I'm wrong for criticizing WWE. Where is he? I'm waiting for him. I'll take one or two more calls here and then we'll wrap up this video. If Virtue's around, I'd love to have him on as well. Okay, Jawad Shah. Hopefully I got that right. Let's answer this call here. Hello, are you there?
Hello, how are you? I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing very well. How's it going?
I'm doing very well too.
So, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to ask about NoDQ t-shirts. Actually, I'm living in Pakistan, so the shipping charges are more than the shirt charges. So, would you mind please waiving off the shipping charges for me?
Well, that's through Pro Wrestling Tees. I have no control over that actually. That's all done through Pro Wrestling Tees. They produce and ship the shirts from their Chicago warehouse.
Yeah, but it's really expensive.
Yeah, I don't know what to tell you about.
Charges.
I don't know what to tell you about that. I mean, it's all through their website, and unfortunately, their shipping takes a long time too.
T-shirt actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'll try to contact them and see if they can give me a discount or something. I could try that.
So I would be very thankful to you if that happens.
I'll see what I can do. Did you catch the fight tonight with CM Punk?
Yeah, no, unfortunately, I just saw NoDQ.com for the result, and I'm just really surprised. I was hoping CM Punk to win, but I don't know whether it means CM Punk will ever return to the wrestling or not.
Yeah, time will tell on that. Well, thank you very much for calling in. I appreciate it.
You always say that CM Punk will one day somehow return to WWE. Do you think it will be under circumstances where he returns to the ring or any other else?
I think he might return for a match down the line or maybe a run, but I think there's a better chance he just comes back and goes into the Hall of Fame. I don't know if he's going to come back and do like a full-time role. I don't know if that's going to happen.
You think just like Ultimate Warrior?
Yeah, perhaps, because I feel like he's not going to come back anytime soon. I do think it will happen, but by the time he feels like he wants to come back, he's not going to be coming back and doing a full-time gig again. I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay, I have a WWE question for you.
Sure thing.
Do you think WWE should do AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania 35 if circumstances are good?
AJ Styles versus Rey Mysterio?
Yeah, could WWE do that at WrestleMania 35?
I'd be down. I'd be down to see it. I think the deal with Rey Mysterio right now is that he doesn't want to work a full-time schedule. He's willing to
Yeah,
come
I read
back.
that on NoDQ.com yesterday.
Yeah.
I just saw your article that he just want to work once a week.
Yeah, exactly. He wants like a Chris Jericho type schedule, or a schedule where he just does the TV shows and he doesn't do the live events, so he doesn't have his body breaking down on him again. But if WWE can make a deal with him, I think that that would be a great match. I would love to see Rey Mysterio versus AJ Styles on a pay-per-view for a world title. I think it would be a cool match.
And I think the ship has not sold yet on it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, Rey Mysterio's in great shape, so I think if WWE gave him a part-time deal, I think Mysterio could have some really great matches in the company.
And do you think Batista will be all in?
Batista?
Yeah, if Batista, as he wants to return in wrestling, so
I don't think he
wouldn't
wants to
he-
get back into the mix right now. He's got a successful Hollywood career right now. I think if he does come back, it will be for WWE. Although he could stick it to Vince by going to another promotion, but I think he would have done that already. I don't think that they could afford to pay him. I think that he would be too much of a price to get him to show up at one of their
yeah,
events.
that's true. Actually, he's just not a big name. Also, if you remove his Hall of Fame career in WWE, also he's a very big name. He's a very major name.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I just wanted to ask, who is your favorite WWE superstar currently?
Right now,
Yeah, AJ Styles or Daniel Bryan?
right now, I am leaning towards Rollins. Actually, I mean, I think it's a three-way between Rollins, AJ, and Bryan. Bryan's comeback has been a little lackluster for me, but we still have 6 months left in the year, and we'll have to see what happens. But so far, first 6 months
Yeah,
of
but
the year,
WWE should not book him in storyline against Big Cass.
well, they are. They're doing this storyline with Big Cass
You know what's
because
funny? At Backlash, the most favorite match, which I was most looking forward to, was Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass. But now the least favorite match, I'm the least looking forward to is Daniel Bryan versus Big Cass.
wait, you're looking forward to that less than even Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns?
Yes, at least Jinder Mahal versus Roman Reigns has some story. I'm not a casual fan, by the way, but it has some story. Like they had some brawls and just stuff like that.
All right. You might get some hate in the chat room for that because I don't think there's a lot of fans of that feud. But anyways, I appreciate your feedback on that. Anything you would like to plug or promote?
Yes, I just wanted to tell you that I'm calling you from Pakistan. So here's morning here. So
All right. Well, have a great afternoon.
thank you. It's by the morning, by the way, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock. I just don't know exactly about the time.
Well, thank you for calling in. I mean, I appreciate it. I got people calling in from all over the place, and that's awesome. I really do appreciate it, man.
Sorry, unfortunately, I'm unable to send you donation because it's unavailable in my country.
Not a problem, man. And I'll try to talk to somebody about the T-shirts and see if I can work out something for you.
Yes, please. I'll tweet you personally or email you.
All right. Thank you. You have a great day.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take care. All right. So I will take one more call. I'm holding out for that one guy. I want to end this video with a little bit of debate. Yes, Roman Reigns versus Jinder Mahal is scheduled for Monday's Raw. What does that mean? Is there going to be an angle? Is Jinder Mahal going to win so Roman can get his win back at Money in the Bank? I don't know what the deal is with that. The email is nodqrift@gmail.com. Mike B says that troll is probably too scared to call in. He's a keyboard warrior. Ignore the haters. You're awesome, man. Well, the invitation has been open for that guy to call in. He hasn't called in, so sorry to disappoint you guys. I was hoping for a climactic end to this live video here. Kurapika07 says Jinder Mahal will attack Roman Reigns, obviously. The Fire Disco Panda says, holy moly, is that donation real? Yeah, and Eddie, if you're still watching, Eddie Smith, email me, nodqmisc@gmail.com with your address info. I will send you some NoDQ stuff because of your generous donations. Kasha says the guy's going to call you and just cuss you. Just leave it. Hey, it'll be entertaining. This is the last call of the night. So if it's not him, I'm taking one more call here. So whoever calls in will be the last call of the night. And let's put Rigoberto in timeout just because he's being a prick. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, I need no DQ stickers for my guitar case. Actually, that was Interstate Kyle's idea. I might have to do that. I might have to use that concept from Interstate Kyle. He said I should make NoDQ.com stickers next. I think I might do that. I am working on doing a deal right now with the beach balls, the beanies, and the belts. So it'll be a package deal where you can get all three for a low price. So stay tuned for that. I'll post details probably tomorrow on that. Fox says, I haven't felt this sad about a last call since last night at the bar. Good line there. John says, Jinder will not win against Roman, but it will be great if he did. Colin Max says, I'll put no DQ stickers on my motorcycle. And Darren says, can you also get ice cream bars? Man, I would love some ice cream bars. But I don't know if there'd be much of a market for that, unfortunately. I wish WWE would do it, but that is come and gone. All right, well, I don't think anybody else is calling in, so I will go ahead and wrap up this edition of No DQ Live. Thank you to everyone out there for tuning in. How long did we go tonight? 66 minutes. So this was a long video. I appreciate you guys tuning in and watching. I will do another... Maybe I will do a call. Actually, no, I cannot do another call-in video next week because I will be in Chicago. For any of you out there in Chicago, we got the meetup, nodq.com/Chicago, if you want to meet up before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. I will be doing No DQ Live, but I unfortunately will not be able to do the live calls. So that'll wrap it up for this edition of No DQ Live. Stay tuned to nodq.com for the latest, and I will see you guys next time.